These are the forgotten people, the underprotected, the undereducated, the underclothed, the underfed.
The right to a just wage, the right to work free of forced labor, the right to organize. 3 of the rights in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights are routinely violated when it comes to farm workers in the United States. At age 17, Lucas Benitez experienced firsthand inhumane treatment of migrant workers in the United States. Now, as founder of the Coalition of Immokalee Workers Fair Food Program, Benitez works to bring justice in the fields by ending exploitation, slave labor, and human trafficking, like Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta's movement, United Farm Workers, that sought to overthrow a farm labor system in this nation, which treats farm workers as if they were not human beings, and Valdemar Velasquez's Farm Labor Organizing Committee that created a partnership between workers, growers, and corporate food processors. The Fair Food Program strives to ensure large corporations are aware and take full responsibility of the labor practices that take place behind the goods purchased. The Fair Food Program demands that buyers also pay workers an extra penny for every pound of tomatoes they pick, which would double their wages and help eradicate abuse in the fields. In 1996, Lucas Benitez was accompanied by over 500 farm workers who came together as a community to protest violence in the fields once 16-year-old Edgar proceeded to get water after being denied it. Edgar's bloody shirt was the prime symbol that helped awaken the movement. Prior to the horrific incident, farm workers feared deportation, the loss of a job, and further abuse towards their families, which restrained them from speaking out concerning their brutal treatment. However, this occurrence enabled workers of all backgrounds to join forces in the fight that would gain acceptance in years to come in the United States. Farm workers have to put up with the disrespect of our bosses. It's very heavy, harsh work, and of course, there's a lot of poverty. We do not receive any kinds of benefits, no overtime pay. Huge corporations are the ones benefiting from our poverty. Though laws and programs were enacted to enhance the workforce of the average worker in the United States, farm workers were often excluded from these reforms. In 1935, the National Labor Relations Act was passed as a form of protection towards the rights of employees and their ability to join labor unions and engage in collective bargaining. 3 years later, the Fair Labor Standards Act was passed, which ensured minimum wage, overtime pay, and youth employment regulations. Essentially, a solution to a range of labor discrepancies arose with these acts. However, Congress failed to include nearly 3 million migrant workers in their legislations.
The result has been that the farm workers have suffered and grown much more slowly economically than any other segment of our society. It's terribly unfair and very unreasonable and very, very unjust, and these people have suffered tremendously.
In the late 20th century, an average farm worker earned 30 cents per bucket of tomatoes picked. Today, those statistics remain low, only increasing to an average of 40 cents per bucket of tomatoes. To earn approximately $100, a worker would have to fill 250 buckets full worth of tomatoes, around to an average of 32 pounds per bucket, resulting in 4 tons worth of tomatoes. Children in migrant camps do not obtain the proper education needed to live a good life because these children work an average of 16 to 18 hours by the legal age of 12. There have been many unreported cases of pesticide exposure to families, leading to various health concerns such as kidney failure, eye injury, and malnutrition. The farm workers often do not have the essential materials to have a proper home, so they are left to share a small home. Did you know the average life expectancy for migrant farm workers is 49 years compared to 73 for the general U.S. population? Did you know 3 out of 5 farm workers' families have incomes below the poverty level? Did you know farm workers' average annual income is only $11,000 to $16,000 a year? The injustice farm workers encountered violated articles in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. These include Article 4, no one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Article 23, right to desirable work and to join trade unions. Article 24, right to rest and leisure. And Article 25, right of standard living, adequate health, and well-being of himself or his family. It's becoming a tragic reality that society has neglected the recognition of the hard work it takes America's migrant workers to get fresh fruits and vegetables into local grocery stores. Imagine a world without the migrant farm workers. Who would be willing to do this underpaid and underrepresented job? It's not just about the workers on the fields today, but the workers years ago who have endured abuse and preserved for a just wage all their lives, and now their children and grandchildren will protest and repeat the same barbaric story. Lucas Benitez's life continues to teach us that although society overlooks the oppression among fields, not only in Immokalee, Florida, but also around the nation, through his humanitarian efforts and political activism, he has partnered with the Robert F. Kennedy Memorial Center for Human Rights to influence large corporations united with the food industry to ensure just wages among the farm workers who are essentially the backbone of the food chain.